bull, a dick, John Law, you're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
Alec Baldwin is no longer going to face firearm enhancement in his manslaughter charge, according to prosecutors in that case. So the reality on that is there might have been, we'll talk to David Katz about this. I actually saw, and we'll share with you on Thursday when David joins us. David Katz, the former U.S. attorney.
Yeah.
Assistant U.S. attorney. David talks about the fact that there was, in that Alec Baldwin case, a judge who was a real Trumpy, like really carrying the torch for Trump. And in so doing, the enhancement David was suggesting, at least it was implied and many were concerned, was owing to the fact that the judge saw Baldwin as someone who had done the impression of Trump on SNL and was a real anti-Trumper.
Yeah.
And so may have provided the court and the prosecution with an enhancement that wasn't really grounded in legitimacy, was the thinking. And so that's something I'll ask David about. But for now, you should just know that indeed the Alec Baldwin case will no longer include that firearm enhancement. Mm-hmm. And this is a case, look, I've met Alec Baldwin a few times. I told you about the story when, I don't think I did actually, but I'll just tell you, I'll just reference it now in 20 seconds or less. His brother tried to essentially scoop my date away from me at a bar in Los Angeles. Absolutely true.
Bad form.
And the Baldwin kids are all handsome, and they're stars and stuff. And so I don't have some, abiding love for the Baldwins. I mean, I think his heart is probably in the right place on so many things. But anyway, whatever. My point is, I'm not a Baldwin backer per se, but I do feel as though there's a limit to what you can ask an actor on set to be responsible for. And because he's a high-profile guy, and this is an insanely tragic, bizarre accident, I think he was tagged with this a little bit more than someone else might have been, I guess might be a way to put it. I mean, once they give you a gun and they say it's a cold gun on a set, right? Based on everything we've read, I mean, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to double check that as the actor? You have other stuff you're doing, right, Kim?
So I agree with that completely. If he were not the executive producer who decided how much funding would be allocated for things like, I don't know, the person who maintains gun safety on set.
Sure.
So
the armorer, right?
If they can show that there was some type of cutback or negligence in how much money was being given and where these people were staying and were they exhausted and were they tired and had the producers been told this, those things could show a pattern of negligence on set. But just being an actor and being handed a weapon, and not really being a gun person, I think you would have to trust the armorer. I know people that have guns, own guns. Like my father, for instance, would never take a gun into his hand without looking inside of it and verifying for himself first. I'm not that person. I don't know very much about guns. So I think if that's the case with Alec Baldwin or any actor, you have to trust that the professionals are telling you something that's true.
Yes, right. I mean, you said a lot there, and I agree I agree with most all of it.
How you do go on.
No, I liked it. I thought you were addressing everything well. And look, I want to say this, but I've been in a bunch of films myself, as you're well aware.
Yes,
I'm just saying,
yes.
I've done a few things as a performer. You're concentrating on your performance.
Yeah.
Kim makes a good point about him being a producer. His argument is, just so you're aware of it, that he was a creative producer. He's not there necessarily reviewing budgets for the armorer and the prop person, etc. Now, as I also told you, insiders, we had a really good inside track on this and other productions that were filming in the same area. These are small independent productions. They essentially break out a lot of the what they call above the line costs, the money for the stars, etc. That's out ahead of time. And then the below the line costs, the actual funds dedicated to doing the film, they tend to be much less. And so you end up with on a, let's say, $3 million movie, $2.5 million going to above the line cost, and you're doing the whole movie for $500,000. As a result, you get rid of the armorer. Instead, you have the prop person be the armorer also. And then it would appear, and there was a lot of stuff going on in the set. Maybe they weren't staying at the nicest places. There was a sense among the crew, we read that they were angry about the fact that they were staying 30 miles from the set or whatever it
Right.
might be. I mean, it was a set that seemed to have issues.
Yeah.
And then they are using that same gun for target practice. Remember, they were using it with live ammo. So there was
Yeah.
live ammo in and around that set. All of this is going to come out in court. But to that extent, it was a loose and poorly funded production. And maybe they could tag him with some of that. So,
Indirect says you pull the clip and clear the chamber. That's great, Indirect, if you know how to do that. If someone handed me a gun, I would have zero clue how to do that. I don't know what that okay, sounds great. But what if you're not that kind of person that knows how?
right, exactly. And really, you have to view it. It's just a prop that is being used in the scene. It's not a. It's not a. I don't know what it is. All I know it's a thing. I point and I'm worried about camera angles and a look that I'm trying. If I'm an actor, right? I'm not there. That's the reason that you hire somebody who's dedicated to. Somebody else pulls that chamber and empties the clip or whatever you were saying. There's somebody else dedicated to that. By the time it gets to me as the actor, they tell me it's a cold weapon. There's nothing loaded in it. And then that's wrong. So, I mean, it would be like going to the OR and having to check your own anesthesia. I'm not here for that. I'm here to, I'm doing something else. I'm doing the retraction of the whatever it is in the OR, right? You know how everybody in the OR comes with a very specific job?
Yeah.
You know, the surgeon comes with them, the anesthesiologist, there's a nurse, there's an assistant to this and that. That's the way a movie set is. You know, you have the electricians, you've got the gaffers, you've got the prop people, you have the actors, you have the cinematographer, you have the director, etc. In fact, it's a union violation oftentimes to mess with something, let's say with the audio. You know what I mean? That's a union job. So all we're trying to say here is I think that on this set, this will be interesting to see how it plays out. This is a horrible accident. And they did, and it was a condition of, this is a weird thing about this, and then we'll move on. They did commit to restarting this film and finishing it. To me, that's wild. But
They
I
would
think,
keep going. Yeah, it is weird, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, look, I'll tell you one thing, and this is a horrible thing to say, but, you know, that's what they pay me for, saying the horrible stuff. That film is going to do incredible business. The curiosity factor alone
Yeah,
will
maybe.
vault it to. Tell me you're not going to watch Rust, right?
Yeah, you're
So,
right.
I mean,
You're
there are a
right.
few of you who are going to go, I wouldn't watch it, Mark. I'm sorry. I don't condone what happened on that set and how they handled it. All right. But most people are going to watch it. Everybody slows down for the accident. Everybody slows down at the intersection to see what happened. And that's what's going to happen here. So,
Oh, I have to say, Lori is joining us today from the Caribbean Princess cruise ship. What up, Lori?
wow, that's so
Yeah.
cool. Lori, you're the most exotic joiner of the entire. I mean, I've never heard anything like this in our history.
There is nothing
In
in
our
our history
history.
that quite compares to this.
That's true. Yeah. And by the way, on a cruise ship, internet is really hard to come by. I mean, you get it, but it's not really the quickest connection. So for you to commit to any sort of
Yeah,
viewing of this stream is really impressive.
very
Impressive,
much
I should
so.
say.
Yeah.
So congratulations for being
We've
here.
never seen anything like it
We have
before.
not. You, I think, are our first cruise ship participant. And for that, you get a hearty round of applause. And in
Yes.
the rich tradition of the show,
You get nothing.
right.
I hope you don't get COVID. May you stay COVID free and have a great vacation.
Cruises are great.
Yeah.
Tom says the Lido deck must be closed. How dare you?
Mark Thompson airing on the Lido deck.
Yes, that's right. That'd be great. I'd like to do a cruise. So I'll tell you real quick, Ron Owens used to do, because it's KGO story.
Yeah, yeah.
Ron Owens used to do cruises And the I remember we were going to do one cruise. Oh, here's a Ron used to do the cruises. I accompanied him on one, and then I did a cruise. And I didn't really like cruises at the time, but I did one also. And the spots ran on KGO. You know, if you want to be on with Mark Thompson on the cruise, blah 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 blah. And the sign-up sheet for my cruise was not very good, as I recall. It was like they kept running spots saying, "Hey, the cruise is leaving, January 5th.
There's still room.
There's still room. There's some good spots available."
Yeah.
And we did go on the cruise, but I think it was sort of in terms of them making money on it, I don't think they did so well. But on my end, all I did was get a free cruise. I mean, they didn't pay me any money. So anyway, that was it's great to have somebody on a cruise watching today. But that's Ronnie got me involved with this guy who was the cruise ship dude. And then I did a cruise of my own because he asked me, could you do one? We'd love it if you do one. So I do one. And of course, mine was a total failure. That's basically what I'm telling you. I did want to mention that the gangster in New York, who was out on some sweetheart deal from the Manhattan's DA's office, he got out and apparently mugged a 14-year-old boy.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He's Charles Lindsay. He's now behind bars on new charges. The Manhattan office, which refused to say Friday whether it will try to even get rid of the sweetheart deal that it made with the suspect originally. He's from a gang, and they've been connected to several high-end heists, they say. He's 22 years old. He was facing 4 felony counts of grand larceny in December for allegedly helping to snatch a total of $25,000 in handbags and other luxury items from Madison Avenue boutiques. It was a string of robberies. But instead of prosecuting the case, apparently the DA in Manhattan agreed to let him go if he went to 5 sessions with the Manhattan Justice Opportunities. This is a diversion program that's set up for offenders in New York. So they let the guy out. And he, a little over a month later, he and 3 others walked up to a 14-year-old boy on Fulton Street in Bedford-Stuyvesant, punched him in the face, and snatched his cash and iPhone. Wow.
That's horrible.
Cops recognized him from a photo from the department, and they arrested him again, and now he's back behind bars again. That's the other side of, of those programs that are designed to give people a second chance. A man accused of dumping water on his brother's head to cool him down during an argument over key lime pie is facing prison time. I mean, I'm asking.
What?
Yes.
For a water splash?
64-year-old man, and we were going to move this to Florida because it does take place in Florida, but we decided it falls into the category of law and disorder.
This is a man with anger.
This guy is
a man that has
potentially facing
resentment
multiple
towards you.
decades in prison, as well as thousands of dollars in fines for dumping 2 glasses of water on his older brother during an argument over key lime pie. The older man was saving this key lime pie, you see, Kim. And the dude who ended up in the joint ate his pie. David Sherman Powelson, taken into custody, charged with 1 count of first-degree felony aggravated battery on a person 65 years of age or older.
You don't eat another man's pie.
No, you do not. By the time the deputy arrived there, the victim of this assault, alleged, said that he had been sitting in his reclining chair in the living room of the house, which is all you want to do when you're a senior citizen in Florida. And he saw that his brother had eaten a piece of key lime pie that, quote, he was saving. The victim became upset. An argument ensued, as it might. While sitting in the chair, David Powelson emptied 2 large glasses of water on the victim.
They do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
The victims feared Powelson's aggressive behavior would lead to him being physically harmed or even killed, Kim. The deputy then spoke with Powelson about what transpired between them. Transpired is a ding word. According to the document filed when in court, Powelson said that his brother had left a piece of key lime pie in the refrigerator for several days without eating the dessert, so Powelson ate it himself. The two argued about the pie, and then Powelson, near the kitchen, decided to fill up a large glass of water, dump it on the victim's head to cool him down, is what the report said. After speaking to both parties, the responding deputy arrested Powelson, took him to the Lee County Sheriff's Office jail, where he was booked into detention.
What he's got going here is a situation.
And before you knew it, he had a situation, Kim. That's right. It was the key lime pie caper, and it didn't work out so well, did
There's
it?
a reason that this place is fun.
That, my friends, is Law and Disorder for today.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
Yeah.